Recognized as one of the top 100 entrepreneurs in Atlanta in 2009, she is the president and CEO of the Premier Image Inc., a company devoted to creating exceptional people and companies. Speaking on the topic, success as a mindset. I think, therefore I am. Please welcome to the stage, April Ripley.
Before we get started, I just want us to all stand on our feet and give a warm ovation to our dynamic hosts, Miles Monroe Jr. and Charissa Monroe. This has been an awesome, awesome event. And while you're standing, I also want you to give a hand to the shoot that produced the fruit, and that is Dr. Miles and Pastor Ruth Monroe at Worthy. Because of their diligence, their vision, their passion, we can see from this weekend the Monroe Emerging Leaders event that it still continues. And then I want you to give yourselves a hand just for being here this morning, investing your time to be here. So you may be seated. I'm really honored to be a part of this event. I'm really excited for the Monroes and just what they've done to continue the legacy, but in their own way, right? In their own field. So today the topic is success as a mindset. I think, therefore I am. So let's talk about what success means. We saw yesterday there are a lot of different definitions of success, but dictionary.com says this: success is a desired accomplishment. So whatever it is that you desire to accomplish, that's what success is. Mindset, what does that mean? That means that's your ideas, your attitudes. What do you think? What do you believe? What do you think? What does thinking mean? Thinking means rational and objective evaluation. As human beings, we are the only animal, according to science, that has the ability to think rationally. Okay? So here's our success formula for today. I plus A equals T. I is information, A is application, and T is transformation. So it is only when you apply application to the information that you receive that your life will be transformed. Where does this all start? It starts with realizing that we each have a purpose. We have been purposed in our design by our Creator, and this is to be a leader. Every one of us have been called to be leaders in our areas of gifting. Dr. Miles Monroe said this: leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, so we're here, motivated by passion, generated by a vision that's produced by a conviction, all ignited by a purpose. So I look back over my life and I go, you know what? I started off as kind of a small package. I had no idea that just a few decades later, I would be traveling the world, I would be sharing my story, and also encouraging others to find and fulfill their purpose. In the center there is my family, and I'm excited to have my family that's here with me, my mom, my brother, and my sister. My family has been a foundation for me. Some of you may say, well, I don't have my parents still with me, or I never knew my parents, but you have a support, someone who's been there for you, whether it's a friend, a family friend, an aunt. So foundation and support are important for success. And we saw that yesterday when we heard from Charissa about balancing our lives. How do we balance success? And that family and friends can be a tremendous support. So what is success? Success is fulfilling what you were called to do. It's your creation, and it's unique to each and every one of you. All of us in here today have different talents, we have different abilities, different gifts, and we were created that way. Why? Because our Creator wanted us to do different things. Wouldn't it be boring if we all looked alike, sounded alike, did the same thing? Absolutely. So how do we know our purpose? Our gift. The gifts that we have within shares our purpose. A wise man said this: if you observe people who are very good in their work, skilled, they'll be in high demand. I believe that God never puts anything or expects you to be anything other than what He's already placed inside of you. So everything that you're to become, it's already there. So the purpose of this conference is to draw it out, to pull it out, to see you fulfill the purpose for which you were created. All of us were brought here rich. How is that? Because we're all given property. Now, I used to think property meant I had land or I owned something. But I found out that one of the greatest things that God gave each one of us in creation was our intellect. Intellectual property, because it's capital. Capital in business means that it is something that is owned by a person or organization that can produce wealth. So we call it sometimes human capital, if you work for a corporation. Sometimes it's called capital, just money, right? Finance. But that's what was placed inside of us. Why is that powerful? Because in our ability to think, we're able to create. This morning, each of you are sitting on intellectual property. Why? Because someone in their mind saw what you're sitting on. The ability to create, that's powerful. So your life, what you have of your life, what you make of your life, is your ability to create it. So what you see in your life is your decisions, how you thought to create. So no one is born poor, because every human is born with intellectual property. This picture here, I love it because it shows the wood, which is the raw material, right? That's abundant. But it took intellectual property to design the chair, to bring the table out, to pull it out. So whatever dream that you have within you, that you're seeing over and over, that is part of what makes your intellectual property so valuable. It is a gift. Pele says it this way: success is no accident. Now you wake up sometimes, you're like, oh, how did they get to be successful? I wish it were me. But he says this is what it takes: hard work, perseverance. Every one of you who are here today, I'm sure in your lives you've had to work hard at something you wanted to accomplish. It takes learning, studying, sacrifice, and most of all, the love of what you do. This lady here was named one of the 20 of the most successful business geniuses of the 20th century. And I found it interesting because she came as an immigrant to a country, spoke very little English, and yet those in the room that wear MAC or have heard of La Mer or makeup know this woman is Estee Lauder. And her story is one that started differently. When she came, she had to do what she had to do. So she worked in a hardware store with her uncle. But her mom had another family member that came, and he was a chemist. And he was mixing up potions at night, lotions, and he was selling them to women during the day. So Estee looked and said, you know what, this is interesting. You can make up something that smells good and people want it. So she says, can I work for you? And if I sell it, will you give me a portion of it? And he said, absolutely. So now, one of the largest companies in the world, and she said it this way: I never dreamed about success, I worked for it. Because whatever it is that you want to do is going to take work. But guess what? You have the ability to do it. So how do you get to increase the value? How do you get accomplished to your goals, to your dreams? You have to refine the gift. Again, we saw the tree, right, in raw form. The chair that we're sitting on, probably metal, and the ground, it doesn't look as pretty and shiny as it does today. But what happened? They had to refine what they saw in order to have the finished product. So learning, you have to learn. Each one of you being here this weekend says that you have a desire to learn, a desire to grow, to better yourself, to refine your gift, to get around other persons who think like you, who have dreams, goals, aspirations. What you may want in your desired end, success, may be different. But the pathway, getting around those persons, is important. Learning, reading, some great books to read. Of course, The Spirit of Leadership, I quoted that earlier by Dr. Miles Monroe, The Power of Character and Leadership. There's another great book called Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. I said, why do I need to read a millionaire mind book? I'm not a millionaire yet. But I realized that whatever secrets he was sharing, the mindset, the thought, remember we started off at the beginning talking about mindset and how important that is to your success. I wanted to know, what were they thinking? What is the story of Madam C.J. Walker, who is still, to this day, the richest African-American female who started off in the beauty industry, right? I want to know her secrets. What drove her? What caused Sidney Poitier to rise from where he was and receive an Oscar? Mentors. Walking with wise becomes skillful. It's important to have mentors in your lives. Mentors are persons who tell you, you did great, but there are also people who say, you can do better. I think Charissa shared that on yesterday in her interview with Miss Felicia, right? She said, I was talking to her, and all of a sudden she started asking me these questions that I got uncomfortable. And I realized that in order for us to grow, it does take a little bit of uncomfortableness, right? It's a little friction. People start asking you, why do you want to do this? Where are you going to get it? Where are you going to get the money? What makes you think you can do it? It makes us feel uncomfortable. But I realized that every person that's ever done anything successful in their life invented something to help humanity, because that's why we're gifted, to help humanity, to the betterment of humanity. There were times it was uncomfortable. There were times when people stretched you, or you tried once and then it didn't work out. But guess what? Perseverance. Keep going, keep pushing. Refining your gift takes competency. You're going to have to learn the skill set. That's the bottom line. We heard yesterday from Chaz. He talked about how he started his company, kind of fell into it a little bit. Why? Because his passion to help his family. And he said, I did not study any of that in school. I didn't know anything about health per se, but he did what? Google.com. It's wonderful now, because now we have access to this internet, this World Wide Web, that we really don't have any excuse for not learning. So he started Googling, finding out different things, and what we have today is soul on everything, right? So there's no excuse to do it. It just takes hard work and perseverance, because you have to be qualified. You have to have the skill set. Because when people say, if you say you can do a certain thing, they're going to want to know that you can. Are you good at hair? Are you really good at numbers? I'm starting a business. I'm looking for someone with accountancy skills. Do you have the mettle for that? Not just because you dream of being an accountant. Have you gone to school? Have you studied? Right? That's important. And change. How do you refine? You have to be willing to embrace change. Because we all have to change. You say, well, I don't like change. Okay, all of us in this room are above the age, at least of 18, I'm going to guess, right? And in your life, you started off, you saw my picture. I was a baby. And whether I wanted to change or not, guess what happened? I started to grow. And my body naturally said, you are going to change. So I could either fight the change and say, I don't want to be a teenager. Because when I was a teenager, I was already 21. Yes, many of you are nodding. It's like, yes, when you're 13, you literally know everything, right? And I could have fought that. But I learned to embrace it. Sometimes it wasn't an easy embrace. But I needed to do so. Why? Because resisting it doesn't change it. You know what really makes change in our lives? Is when we stand there, face it, and go through it. Dr. Martin Luther King said it this way. He said that intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education. So what you're hearing this week is not just information, but it's also to enable you to apply it to transform your life. Remembering the success formula from earlier. Everybody wants change. All the hands raise up. The question says, who wants to change? Not me, right? So we don't want to be those persons. But I believe that because you came this weekend to the MEL conference, that you've already determined, you know what? Not only do I want change, but I'm going to be the change. Do like Mahatma Gandhi, I'm going to be the change that I desire to seek in the world. So here it is, our purpose. How do we know what our purpose is? Our gift gives us hints to that. Then our gift brings value. A gift is innate, so you can't manufacture it. My siblings have two siblings, and we are different. I'm the, hi, how you doing? Never meet a stranger. You're my BFF, hashtag, like right now, okay? My sister is the thinker. She's the numbers person, the accountant. She can look at your books, get them straight, figure you all out, right? My brother is the journalist. This is what you do. He's social media. And we're all uniquely different. And it amazed me how my parents kind of worked with each of us, because I know it was different, right? But they never said, well, no, you should be like, and you should be like, and why can't you be more like? Because they realized that our gifts were different, because we're unique. So embrace your uniqueness, because your uniqueness brings value to you. Value brings worth. How is that? Because your gift to solve a problem is the value that it creates. For example, if you get a cold, you go to see the doctor. The doctor provides value because he's able to prescribe to you medication to eradicate your cold, right? So people say, well, I want to be wealthy. I want that red square. So how do I get to be wealthy? The wealth comes from your worth. Mr. Sean Combs used to say, more money, more problems. But I want to flip that and say, more problems, more money. Why? Because the more problems that you solve, your value goes up. So if you want the big, the grand, you want to be the CEO, guess what that means? You're going to have to be able to solve a lot of problems. It's not a negative, but that's true. You're paid in direct proportion to the problems that you are able to solve. So if you want the big, take the big problems. But it's all tied to your purpose, which comes from your gift, which determines your value, your worth, and your wealth. Problem versus perspective. Success mindset, it's important how we see things. You used to look at problems and go, not me. Not me. But now my perspective has changed. I was like, oh, problem? Bring it. Because if I don't know, I'm going to figure it out. Whether I have to Google it, get a friend who knows, work together, create a partnership, something, we're going to figure it out. Because your perspective of the problem is what determines your ability to solve it. If you look at it as negative, guess what? You'll shy away from it. But if you look at it as this is an opportunity for me to either learn more, to do more, increase my value, guess what? You're like, bring it. I love that. That's so important. So how are you perceiving your problems? Many times problems come to us and again, we're like, I don't want to deal with that, or we shy away. Don't shy away for it. Say, you know what? Give it to me. I'll handle it. We'll work it out. We'll figure something out. That's a success mindset. Look at everything, even this table, this chair. Do you remember, if you could imagine, they say Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. Some people are now disagreeing with that. But could you imagine at the 900th time that he tried to get these lights to stay lit, that he said, I'm just tired. This is ridiculous. I've done this 999 times. Why should I push one more? Because you never know where the breakthrough will come. So perseverance, pushing through, get it done. Vision. You have to have vision. What does vision mean? Vision comes from a Greek word meaning optica, means to come into view. For those of you who've ever used binoculars or you're wearing glasses, it makes things clearer. Vision is propelled by your past. It is a dream creator. Vision begins at your present. It is a strategist. Vision shows your future. It is a destiny driver. And when it's consummated with passion, your heart, and discipline to accomplish, vision is born. You have to have a passion. Probably heard the question before. If you could do anything without getting paid for it, what would you do? Makes you think. That's your passion. Which means I don't have to, if I'm not rewarded for anything, this is just what I want to do. And it can't just be laying on the beach all day in Bahamas, all right? Well, it could be. Maybe you can, I see when I go out there, like, you want a massage, people who love the beach, this is what I love. They didn't see it as a problem. They said, okay, let me change that perspective and see what can I do that will enable me to stay at the beach all day. You want a boogie board? You want a paddle boat? And you see them, they're loving it. They're living their passion of staying at the beach, but they have wisely constructed a way to be profitable, right? Wilfred Pareto was a social economist, and he said this: so many times people focus on the 80% of the problem, where if you look at the 20%, they call it the 80-20 rule. There's a lot of different business models for it, but the 80-20 rule. He says that most people focus on that 80% that only bring 20% return. But if you'll focus on that 20% that's bringing the 80% return, you'll see a difference in your business and a difference in your life. Why? That's why I talk about discipline. Because vision allows you to discipline your time, your investments, who you are, what you'll focus on. This weekend, I disciplined. I went on my calendar when I got the dates. I said, this weekend here, I'm going to be at MEL. Why? Because I want to be around other leaders, other vision seekers that are pushing, birthing out their destiny, being around other people just like-minded. Passion and discipline together creates vision. I talked about vision being a strategist because you have to have a strategy, have to have goals. A dream without goals is just a wish. So we got to make some things happen, and they have to make sense, right? Again, we as human beings are rational thinkers, so they have to be smart, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and with a time frame. But there's another set of goals, and that is pure. They should be positive. They should be understood. They should be relevant to what it is that you want to do, and they should be ethical, E. So positive, understood, relevant, and ethical. Those are your goals. President Nelson Mandela said this: there are few misfortunes in the world that cannot be turned into personal triumph if you have the iron will and the necessary skill. So let's look at this new perspective. Fail, because there are times when it's not going to work out. But fail just means it's my first attempt and learning. So I live and I learn. And my effort never dies. Because if I hadn't put forth the effort, then I would not have known what worked and what didn't work. No, next opportunity. See how your perspective can change? So don't look at it as negative. Oh, I failed, it didn't work out. I did all this work, and it didn't turn out as I planned. But had you not done all the work, you wouldn't have known that that direction wouldn't work. Character. Character is another key to success. Character is your PSS, your personal security system. You know how when you see celebrities and they're going around with those big guys that are behind them, right? They have their own security. Well, guess what? Each of us have our own personal security system, and that's our character. Our character protects the gift that's within us. Our character projects, as we've heard it said many times, that our talent can take us to high places, but it's only our character that will keep us there. So we have to have both of those. Character protects us. It protects who we are. It protects the investment. How does this work in the natural? If you have something that's valuable, what do? Get insurance on it. Why? The insurance that guarantees that if for something, so for a reason, it's damaged or you lose it, that we will replace it, protect it. Abraham Lincoln said this: character is like a tree and reputation like a shadow. The shadow is what we keep thinking about, but the tree is the real thing. Amazing. J.R. Miller said this: the only thing that walks back from the tomb with mourners and refuses to be buried is the character of a man. What a man is survives him. It can never be buried. And we're here today, this weekend, because of the character of a man and woman that we all honor and respect, that is continuing to live. There are many testaments here of all the speakers who were touched in some way by them, by their message, by their marriage, by their ministry, by their lives. That's the strongest testament. So surround yourself with those on the same mission as you. The law of association says that you'll be like the top 5 persons you're around. So that's why it's important to be here and to keep yourself surrounded with good, honest persons of character and integrity. Relationships are bridges into your future destiny. A person that you meet this weekend could carry over, put you closer to your dream, closer to your goal. Commitment. Last key is commitment. We see a chicken and a pig. I think it's pretty obvious who made the full commitment, right? Yeah, the chicken gave a little contribution, but the pig gave his all. So give your all to whatever it is, and never, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world, because truly it's the only thing that ever has. Remember, you're created to lead. You've been given a gift. You were given property, the ability to think, to create. To think is to create. Your past is behind you. Your present refines you. And your future is destined for you. Brought a couple of my books here. I shared some of the information from them today. The Calling Card of Business, Success from the Inside Out. As I said, success begins from within. It's a mindset. It's how you think about yourself, how you think about your life. And my latest book, Etiquette, which is a quick guide to the basics of etiquette, because it is important to know the how and the why in personal relationships and also professional. Thank you very much.